What if you were a German soldier in World War II for a day? Prologue. Imagine. You open your eyes not in your room, not near a phone or internet connection, but in a cold wooden barracks somewhere in Europe in 1943. The smell of damp, smoke, and wet wool assaults your nose. Heavy footsteps, the barking of dogs, and German speech can be heard through the wall. You are an ordinary German soldier in the army of World War II. Not a hero, not a general, not a man from history books, just one in millions. And today you have only one day to live, but this day will change everything. Chapter 1. A cold morning, 1943. You are abruptly awakened by a shout. Off staying. Rise. Someone tugs at your boot. You sit up and realize you're lying on a bunk bed in a long barracks. Dozens of men in gray overcoats surround you. Someone is coughing. Someone is silently putting on their boots. Someone is trying to light a cigarette with trembling hands. You look at yourself. Gray uniform, black leather straps. There are dirt marks and scratches on your helmet. The wind howls outside. You step outside and see a winter camp. Snow everywhere. Trucks, barbed wire, smoking chimneys. And only now does the realization dawn on you. This isn't a movie. You're actually inside a war. Chapter 2. The fear no one talked about. In movies, war often looks like an adventure, but the reality is completely different. Most soldiers don't think about glory. They think about food, about sleep, about how not to die before evening. You're standing in line for breakfast. Thin soup and a piece of black bread fall into a metal bowl. Next to you, a young soldier of about 19 says nervously, "The Russians fired artillery again last night." Another replies, "They say an offensive is coming soon." Everyone pretends to be calm, but fear is palpable in every movement. Chapter 3. Letters from home. After breakfast, letters are distributed. Someone smiles for the first time in weeks. Someone reads silently and turns away. Someone receives nothing. You too are given a letter. The envelope is in a woman's handwriting. You open it. "My daughter and I are waiting for you to come home. Berlin was bombed again. I hope you're alive. Please come back." And suddenly, war ceases to be a map, a front, or politics. It becomes very personal, because everyone here has a home. Chapter 4. The road to the front. An hour later, you're loaded into a truck. The engine roars. The wheels slide on the snow. Almost no one speaks. One veteran sits across from you, calmly cleaning his rifle. There's no emotion on his face, only fatigue. Suddenly a dull thud sounds somewhere in the distance. Then another. Artillery. The closer you get to the front, the more violently the earth begins to shake. Chapter 5. The first shelling. You step out of the truck. At that moment a whistle pierces the air. Take cover. Explosion. Dirt flies into your face. Your ears pop. Someone is screaming. You fall into a muddy trench and for the first time understand the most important rule of war. It doesn't matter how brave you are. A shell doesn't choose its target. Nearby, a young soldier begins to panic. His hands are shaking. A veteran grabs him by the shoulder. Either calm down or you'll die. And the scariest thing is that he says it completely calmly, because he's used to it. Chapter 6. Life in the Trenches. You spend hours in the cold. Your feet are wet. Your toes are numb. There's mud everywhere. Sometimes the shooting stops. Then the soldiers start talking about normal life, about beer, about girls, about football, about how they want to go home. And that's what's most frightening, because these people look ordinary, not monsters, just people stuck inside a huge catastrophe. Chapter 7. Night Attack. Night falls. The darkness is almost absolute. And suddenly, buging, move. Chaos ensues. You hear screams, shots, machine guns. No one can see anything clearly. Only flashes. Only silhouettes. Only fear. A second seems like an eternity. You shoot simply because everyone else is shooting too. Your heart beats so hard it feels like it's about to explode. Chapter 8. The most terrible thing in war. In the morning, everything is quiet. And then the true face of war emerges. Silence. You emerge from the trench and see destroyed trees, smoke, and bodies. Yesterday, these people were talking. Today, they weren't. And it is at that moment that the realization dawns. There are no winners in war. Even those who survived will never be the same. Chapter 9. Conversation with a veteran. Later, you sit by the small stove with that same veteran. He's silent for a long moment, then says, "At the beginning of the war, everyone thought it would be quick, that we'd return as heroes." He grins. "And now? Now everyone just dreams of staying alive." You ask, "Why do you keep fighting?" He doesn't answer right away. Because there's no choice anymore. Chapter 10. Bombing. The roar of engines is heard during the day. Someone shouts. Planes. Everyone dives for cover. The sky fills with bombers. Then all hell breaks loose. Explosions follow one after another. The ground trembles. The air grows hot. You cover your head with your hands and think only one thing. Let this end. But the war doesn't care about your wishes. Chapter 11. The Last Order. In the evening, the order comes to hold the position at all costs. Everyone understands this is a bad sign. Some begin to write their last letters. One soldier quietly says, "If you survive, tell my mother I thought of her." No one laughs, because everyone understands tomorrow may not come. Chapter 12. The Last Night. You sit in a trench under the snow, a cold rifle in your hands. The wind whistles overhead, and for the first time all day, you begin to think about the future, about how decades from now, people will watch documentaries, read books, and argue online. But none of them will feel this cold, this fear, this silence before the attack. Chapter 13. Dawn. The sky begins to brighten. The commander shouts to get ready. The soldiers slowly rise. Some cross themselves. Some whisper a prayer. Someone simply looks at the ground. And suddenly you realize most people here didn't choose history. History chose them. Finale. And then, at the last moment, everything disappears. The noise of war dissolves. You find yourself back in the modern world. Silence. The light of a telephone. A warm room. And only now does a true understanding of how terrible World War II was come. Not as a game, not as a movie, not as beautiful uniforms and old photographs, but as endless fear, cold, and the attempt to survive another day. And perhaps that's why it's important to remember the war, so that one day people will never have to wake up in those trenches again.